on hunt-a-killer horror, Blair Witch. Because of our help identifying Carver, Sheriff Lanning resumed the search for Liam. A search party was conducted, using the History Museum as a rendezvous point. Along the bank of the creek, they found Liam's things. Officer Cooper got a picture of the scene and marked the spot. There was a letter to Rosemary from Carver himself.
We are not finished yet, Carver.
The message reads, "You'll have a taste of what you want. He's coming home."
I want to go home. 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 If anyone finds this, Carver wants me to do something horrible. And I don't know if I can resist. Please, stop us.
I'm so sorry, Rosemary, but Carver is after Tristan.
Tristan! Tristan! Oh no! He's gone! Oh no! I won't let this happen! Not again! And you're not going to either! We are going to fix this.
And now, the search for Liam continues. I got right to work when I saw the new package on my desk. Rosemary has contacted us again. In the letter in this package, it seems poor Rosemary doesn't sleep anymore. She is constantly being taunted by Carver. And he has become so bold as to put a letter on her very front doorstep. Rosemary is not working alone, though. Apart from enlisting us, she has enlisted the aid of Anthony. In fact, 90% of this package is actually from Anthony. Anthony, too, has given us a letter, and in his letter, he states his concern for poor Rosemary. He also states that if anyone can help Rosemary, it's us. Among the items that he has added in this package are the most accurate map that has ever been made of the Blair Woods, the compass and the magnifying glass of the map maker, journal entries of a member of a search party from 1886, a building report of renovations for a cabin in the woods, and also a scene from a reenactment play that depicts the execution of the woman that is believed to become the Blair Witch. Anthony has added these 3 documents along with the map because in each document there is a focal point of which we can use to help navigate the map. At first that sounds odd, but the map is not an ordinary map. It was not made by satellites or any drones flying above the wood. For any time electronics get involved in the area, they seem to malfunction or just flat out don't work. The map maker being a Mr. Emmanuel Ramos. He created this map in 1953 and he used landmarkers to kind of dictate where everything is on the map. Anthony believes that with the tools he has given us, we should be able to find where Carver has taken the boys. Let's start with the letter that Carver left on Rosemary's doorstep. This letter is very much like all the other letters he has written. Half of it is easy to read, but the other half has his favorite coding in it. Let's start with the part that you can read.
Rosemary. The boys keep calling out into the woods for you, and you never answer them. You've really been letting them down over these past few months, haven't you? In fact, you've been letting them down for their entire lives. Never able to protect them, to comfort them, to realize the depths of their pain. At least now, you'll never be able to fail them again either. Remember when you would play hide and seek with Liam when he was little? How he would always hide in the root of that gnarled old tree at the very edge of the forest? I'd watch from the tree lines, seeing you pretend to search everywhere, even though he always hid in the same place. I'm sure you wish it was that easy now, but this game is going to be a fair measure more challenging. You're not going to be able to just waltz into the woods and stumble upon the light of my campfire. That's not what she wants. She wants you to suffer, and so do I. But if you're smart enough, maybe you'll be able to find your way to your sons, and you'll even get a glimpse of your dear old hut. Oh, and in case you haven't figured it out yet, there's a reason that your search parties have failed to find me for so long. Sunlight conceals the truth of the forest. To see the light of my fire, you'll have to enter after dark. I don't need to tell you to come by yourself. I already know you will.
Carver is ruthless in his taunting of Rosemary. But that wasn't everything that he wrote. In his favorite code, he wrote,
"Find us where a shred of propriety was lost." Carver.
The map that Anthony sent us looks like an average map at first glance, but there is more to the map than what meets the eye. Using the magnifying glass, many points on the map reveal messages from the map maker about the woods.
Deep underground, ancient roots wind through shattered skulls. Though the sun moves through the sky, the shadows of the pines stay fixed in place. Lost souls weep from nostalgia and regret. Tears of the drowned ceaselessly flow down the creek. The ground, with its dreadful murmurs, will cradle careless travelers for eternity. The sky shines bright red. The sun and moon are nowhere to be seen. The heavy limbs of the trees are scarred with claw marks and carvings. Here the vermin fester in the bleak sunlight, but dance under the light of the moon. Here I saw the eyeless creatures hoard their bones. The crows feed at blood-red dusk. I hear her whispers to climb the oak trees and leap into the air, but I will not give in. Forks of light erupt from the clear sky.
The compass itself is also a key to the map. Etched into the back is
Each square an hour.
With these tools to guide us, let's go through the documents Anthony sent, starting with the renovation sketch. The sketch was given to an employee of Kip's Hardware Depot before it collapsed in 1951. This is what Ned, the employee, had to say.
Mr. Kip, a fella stopped by the store as I was closing up just now. Damn near gave me a heart attack, since I could have sworn I had already locked the front door. It was that guy that's been living out in the woods. Can't for the life of me remember his name, even though I swear that he's introduced himself to me. He bought supplies, nails, shingles, things like that. Said that his place was damn near falling apart. Drew me a picture and made some notes so that I could get an idea of the scope of the project. Said he might come tomorrow morning for more supplies. Wanted to give you a heads up in case you were the only one in, because, frankly, he doesn't seem all entirely right in the head. He was caked in dirt, and there was all manners of rotting leaves and pieces of sticks tangling in his beard, and he kept trailing off in the middle of his sentences. But surprisingly, he had enough money, and with the way business has been lately, I could hardly turn a customer away. Ned. P.S. Where'd all the scrap paper that's usually kept under the counter go? I went and looked for something to write a note on, but this drawing was the only paper on hand. Mr. Kip, you're not gonna believe this. Just now, I was closing down the store when I heard a dull scratching sound coming from the wall behind the register. Remember last spring when the rats got in the walls? It sounded like that. So I headed to the basement to get some traps, and I was only away for a few seconds. But when I came back upstairs, the hermit was in the store again. He was scraping something on the wall with a rusty old knife. I hollered at him to cut it out. He stopped, but he didn't apologize. Just turned around and demanded that I sell him a shovel because
She needed his basement to be deeper.
I can't believe a guy like that managed to land himself a wife. I had him pay extra on account of the damage he did to the wall. Looks like he carved a bunch of stick figures. Would you mind painting over those when you get a chance? I'd do it myself right now, but it's late and, frankly, I got a pretty bad case of the heebie-jeebies just looking at the things right now. Ned. Mr. Kip, I guess I could use this sheet as a running log of hermit updates. He visited again towards closing today. Said he needed an extra pair of hands to help him with a project because it needed to be done fast. Offered me a good amount of money to help him out on my day off from the store tomorrow. And I said yes. Thought I'd let you know just in case. And don't worry, I'll be bringing my hunting knife just in case he's really off his rocker, as people around town say. Ned. Mr. Kip, I know it's my day off, but I stopped by to tell you to ban that hermit from the store. Guess you're out on your lunch break. But listen, the man is a menace. I met him on the edge of the forest at sunrise today to walk up to his house. We started on the path to the lumber mill, but soon veered off from the path entirely. We walked in the direction for what I would judge to be 5 hours. As we walked, the hermit would occasionally mutter under his breath to himself, like he's completely forgotten that I was there at all. I could barely hear what he was saying, but I thought I could make out something about heading towards the horde of bones. We eventually reached a stream, and when we did, it was like he suddenly remembered that I existed again. He turned to me and he started talking about how there's a part of the forest where she pinned the shadows in place with the pine needles, and that he made sure to build his place as far away from them as he could. He said his cabin was another 3 hours down the river, away from the still shadows. He told me that I should count myself lucky that I wouldn't have to see those shadows just yet. Maybe it was just because I was spooked, but in the moment, it sure as heck sounded like a threat. I made some excuse about forgetting that my mom wanted me home by lunch and said that I couldn't help him out with his repairs after all. Then I all but ran back to town. I just thought you should know that I'm not going to be servicing him anymore. If he comes into the store again, I'm just gonna hide out in the basement until I hear him leave. I know that's not very professional, but it's the only thing I think I'll be able to do if I see him again. And that's the God's honest truth. I'll see you tomorrow, Mr. Kip. Ned.
Following Ned's directions, the hermit's cabin would be right here at R7. The next leg of our journey lies within the journal entries. In 1886, Aloysius Master was part of a 14-man team looking for a local girl that went missing in the woods. However, his search party was not the first team to go out. The first group itself also went missing while looking for the young girl. In their search, Aloysius makes mention of a bone-white rock that the group uses as a starting point. But where is it located? In one of his entries, he talks about seeing a cabin. Assuming that this is the hermit's cabin, this would make the end of that journey R7. With this knowledge, we can reverse engineer their journey from the cabin at R7 through the Whispering Oaks for 3 hours to a fork in the creek, travel in the direction of the festering vermin for 2 hours. This would make the location of the bone white rock right here at O2. We are so close to fully navigating these woods, but we still have one more document to inspect. According to Anthony, this is a scene from a play entitled The Past Never Dies, a first-person anthology of tales from Old Blair. The scene is written by Anthony, I might mention, and it is called The Execution of the Blair Witch.
Act 1, Scene 5. Interior. Judge Goodneighbor's quarters. Afternoon. Goodneighbor paces the floor of his bedroom and crosses to his desk. Sitting, he prepares his journal and writes.
This is the journal of Jonathan Goodneighbor. Recorded this horrid evening, February 17th, 1785. The townsfolk complain of witchcraft. Many children bear the same mark on their wrists from where she carved and siphoned blood. It was told to me that she collected the blood into several small bowls and arranged them in her cellar into some satanic symbol. I, being a godly man, as well as a man of the law, ordered an investigation to be conducted at once. An hour's walk into the forest, we discovered the old woman's home, encircled with fencing of wood bound in twine. Rushing inside and to the fruit cellar, we found her standing in the corner, as if she were expecting our arrival. I saw no sign of the ritual and no evidence of her working her craft. It made no difference. She had ample time to conceal her doings, and the children's testimonies were damning enough. We bound the hag in shackles and carried her to meet justice.
Good neighbor leans back in his chair, deep in thought. He stands, crossing to the window to stare out at the town.
We must put this witch on trial and submit her to her punishment with utmost haste.
Blackout. Interior, Judge Goodneighbor's quarters. Night. Good neighbor angrily storms into the room. It is dimly lit by a single candle. The storm rages outside the window. His desk is cluttered with books. He sweeps his arms across the tabletop, throwing the mess to the floor. He sits and furiously begins to write.
February 21st, 1785. Though the children of Blair exposed her deeds, the old woman had nothing to say on the matter. Even when I bellowed at her in a most thunderous voice to reveal her true purpose, she said nothing. Finally, I was left with no option but to take a hot poker to her skin, a reminder of the everlasting hellfire which awaits all those who refuse to repent. She did not so much as flinch. No mortal could have withstood the searing pain of that fire. And so it was proven in her silence that she was indeed wed to the devil. The trial was complete.
The windows blow open, extinguishing good neighbor's candle. The stage is dark.
Damn storm!
A flash of lightning briefly illuminates the room, revealing an old woman watching good neighbor as he closes the window. He doesn't seem to notice her. The room returns to darkness, and when good neighbor relights his candle, she's gone. He continues.
As I delivered the sentence, I expected some crying or protestation, and yet she sat staring at the wall with unfocused eyes. Come the morning, my companions and I shall bring the witch to a quiet place to carry out her sentencing.
With a heavy sigh, good neighbor lays down his quill. Blackout. Interior, Judge Good Neighbor's quarters. Day. Good neighbor appears exhausted. He has heavy red scratches on the left side of his face and neck. His robes are torn, and his boots are muddy.
February 22nd, 1785. And so, the courts have done their work, and the law has been upheld, desiring to place distance between ourselves and the fair town. We traveled until we came upon a huge, bone-white brook. I suggested that we complete the deed there, as it seemed as good a spot as any. However, we soon began to hear a terrible noise, the sound of hundreds of crows cawing in the distance. I judged The birds were an hour from our position at the rock, but their cries echoed in a most loud and ominous manner, doubtless an omen. As they cawed in the distance, we pummeled the witch as a punishment for summoning the beasts. Still, she made no noise. Though the witch was silent, the forest was not. The sound of cawing crows still echoed from a particular region of the forest itself, as if the land had taken the cries of the birds and amplified it 100-fold. As the others clutched their ears in pain and fear, I found myself clutching my greatest comfort, a locket containing a lock of my dear wife Propriety's hair, to compose myself as I recited the Lord's Prayer. Unwilling to remain in the same vicinity as the beasts, we turned from our position at the rock and fled for 5 hours in total, going in the opposite direction from which the cacophonous cawing had so ominously emanated. While we fled the noise, I noted that a certain region of the forest contained a number of trees that appeared to have been ravaged by a large creature of some sort. I warned my men to keep their wits about them. I was quite relieved when we left this particular area behind us. Our group continued straight forward on the course we had set, away from the terrible noise. When the last sounds of the crows had faded and the forest was silent as the grave, save the sounds of our party's footsteps, the witch finally broke her days-long silence. She requested that, were she to be left to die, she would be left in the grove of the trees that she often sat amongst in moments of silent contemplation. We, being an honorable and compassionate group of men, obliged. She turned at a slight angle and led us in a new direction, with myself directly at the back, keeping an keen eye out for any sign of treachery, and my men behind me. As we walked, I began to hear behind me my men murmuring dreadful utterances about how we and our children would be doomed for our trespassing and our violence. I turned and ordered them to be quiet, but each and every man insisted that they had not uttered a word. After traveling for 2 hours, the witch's chosen direction, we came upon a hollow with a white tree at its center. I moved to bind the witch to the tree, a twisted, dying thing. Seeking out one final opportunity to sate her bloodlust, the witch clawed my face and neck as I bound her, shrieking all manners of hell condemnation and tearing the locket from my neck. It was then that my companions fled, leaving me to carry out the deeds on my own. Perhaps they feared she would soon break free of her bindings, and so I was left alone to complete the task. Her strength surprised me, but the power of all that is holy remained on my side, and I succeeded in my efforts to subdue her. I completed the deed, and, so full of fear that I momentarily forgot about the locket, turned my back on the witch and returned home. As I left the hollow, I began to feel an agonizing sensation that burned up the back of my neck, as if 2 hot coals had been pressed into my very flesh. I did not turn around to see what was behind me. Instead, I began to run back to the town, not slowing or turning back once for the entire journey. Regretfully, I must leave my beloved's locket behind. A fear grips me that should I attempt to return to the forest again, I might not return home.
From outside the window, the figure of an old woman in a dark, heavy cloak slowly approaches, watching Goodneighbor.
I comfort myself in the knowledge that the witch's twisted heart will lie far away from civilized society forever. Still, I confess that I cannot forget the sound of her final cry and of the terrible curse she uttered with her last gasping breath. But I comfort myself in the knowledge that, at last, this horribleness is behind us.
The old woman stands staring through the window, no longer at Judge Goodneighbor, but at the audience. Blackout. End of scene.
Taking Carver's message literally, we need to go to where Judge Goodneighbor lost the locket that contained his wife Propriety's lock of hair. Following the directions that Judge Goodneighbor went, it looks like he took the boys here at H4.
Rosemary, Carver took the boys to H4. You've got to go there.
Good. I've been waiting out here for a few hours. Something told me that you'd find me the answers that I needed today. Now I know where to go. Thank you. Whoa, hold on, boy. Hold on, let me get my bag. You know, it's kind of a relief to be out here. The house is unbearable. It's so quiet. And I hate being at the Silver Moon. I can't stand the looks everyone gives me. More and more lately, I've just been staring out into the woods, or reading about the woods, or sitting up in the middle of the night thinking about the woods. I know, buddy, I know. He seems antsy. I hope he'll be able to pick up a scent. I've noticed when I come out here to search for the boys that the further you go in, the quieter it gets. It's not a peaceful quiet, though. It's tense. Like the whole forest is holding its breath. Hud and I would come out here sometimes when we were first started dating. He knew all kinds of facts about nature. Moss grows on the north side of a tree, he'd say. I have no idea if that's actually true. We used to chase each other around and leave each other these little notes. And then a few years later, down the road, Hud started bringing Liam to cut wood with him until I lost him to this place. Oh, we're going to get my sons out of here. Even if I have to end up just like Hud to do it. Goodbye for now.
Will Rosemary find her boys and catch Carver? To find out, you'll have to watch the next episode. Thank you for watching this episode. And now, Behind the Box. this one was a lot of fun to put together, and I know it took me a while to get it out there, but I put a lot of production into this one, as you can see, and I'm trying to do that from here on out going forward. If you guys like it, if it was too much, just let me know. If you enjoy the readouts and everything, let me know as well. I did it all by myself, so that's why it took me so long. Yeah, and I'm already starting on box 5. Yeah, if you liked it. I do now have a Patreon, which I feel weird saying that, but I have a Patreon now. And I don't really have too many tiers on it. I have 2 different tiers. One, if you become a patron on either side, you will get an end card little blurb on the next video that I make. So if you want to be a part of that, check out, there should be either a link below or somewhere around here. I have something saying the Patreon page, and I do have merch too. I'm trying to work on a Hunt a Killer merch line. It'll probably just be Loki because he's adorable. So as far as this box goes, this one was kind of weird for me to solve. I actually solved the documents backwards, so I knew that the play was going to be really important, so I did that one first, and I was like, so my initial guess was really wrong, and then they kind of hinted the order that you should solve them in, and I was like, oh, start with that one, work your way backwards. So that's what you saw in the video. So yeah, I love these boxes. I love Hunt a Killer, and I do strongly suggest that you guys go solve it yourself too, and if you are going through it as well, and you know, let me know how you did solving the boxes and everything. I've already started working on box 5, and the creep factor has been like totally turned up. So turned up has been like completely elevated. So it's gonna be a really interesting box to make. Plus, yeah, I've got some strategic things that I have to figure out for that box that I already know is going to be kind of an issue. But we'll see. Yeah, like I said, I'll try to get the next one out as fast as I can, since I do already have the box and I'm already working through it. I gotta solve it first, and then I can start writing that script for you guys, and then start doing the editing and the voiceover stuff. So that's actually the hardest part, is the voiceover parts. So yeah, I'll start working on that, and I love you guys so very much. I really, really hope that you guys are enjoying these videos. Like I said last time, I enjoy making these videos a lot. I know it takes me a while to get them out, but I am I'm trying real hard to pump them out faster. My life was kind of chaotic, and now it's getting more sturdy, I guess. So yeah. So I love you guys so very much. Thank you so much for watching. And hey, if you feel like it, throw a like on there. If you're not subscribed already, hey, subscribe to my channel. You might see something you like. I am trying to figure out like another series to do. But other than that, yeah. Love you guys. Bye!